इतनी बातें करी थी हमने से. How are you feeling now? Tired. And hungry. Is all that noise okay? Yeah.
Camera roll, audio roll, and action.
When I say the word pleasure, what comes to your mind?
Into our text, pleasure is actually a Shakti. Being awake is pleasure.
Oh, interesting.
Turn the tables, you pin him down, and you bite him back twice as hard till he stops. Because, I wanted parents to be able to have this conversation with their children.
I can physically, like, I have goosebumps right now.
When I say the word pleasure, what comes to your mind? Maybe it's a steamy scene from your favorite erotica. Or maybe it's the feeling of devouring your favorite chocolate. But is that all that pleasure is? Instant and external gratification. Maybe pleasure can also be mastering the art of self-care. Taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's something that you do for yourself, by yourself. And today we are going to dive deeper into this topic. I'm Aditi. I talk a lot about self-care and self-development. And today we are in conversation with the lovely Seema Anand, the gorgeous storyteller who has taken social media and Jenzy by storm. And today she's going to enlighten us about the Anand of self-care. Hi Seema, welcome.
Thank you so much.
How are you
Aditi.
doing?
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so my first question to you is that you talk a lot about pleasure, you also talk about self-care, but today I want you to shed some light on the pleasure or the Anand of self-care. How important is that and how can we prioritize it?
So, could I maybe say that, couldn't it just be chocolate after all?
It could. It
Could
be.
right? Yeah. I mean, to me, chocolate is the answer, no matter what the question. But okay, actually, I think the idea of pleasure and self-care, or the pleasure of self-care, what a perceptive question that is. Actually, that's an amazing thing. I think everything comes from the inside.
Yeah.
Okay? It has to start from the inside. I always say, when people talk about, could we have an aphrodisiac that would make you amazing in bed? Or, like, is there something that you could do to really make your date incredible? And I always say that, yes, you could go out looking like $1 million.
Yeah.
But on the inside, if you're feeling like shit, nothing
True. That
is
is
going to
so
happen.
true. Yeah.
Nothing is going to happen. So I think that looking after yourself, caring for yourself is probably the best thing that you can do for yourself. According to our text, pleasure is actually a Shakti. It's an energy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know this.
See, think about it. You have two states of being. You are either in a state of monotony, you're dull,
Yeah.
or all your nerve endings have come alive. You're awake.
Yeah.
Everything is pinging.
Yeah.
That being awake is pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Shakti is your energy. It's not a solid thing that sits inside you. It's your breath. It goes up, it goes down. So it pulsates inside you.
Yeah.
So whatever is going on in your mind defines how you are breathing. Have you noticed you're stressed, you're like this, right?
Yeah.
The moment you put your shoulders down,
You relax.
you relax, you breathe deeper, everything suddenly seems to open up.
Yeah.
So pleasure definitely starts from the inside, and you become that person worthy of pleasure when you decide that you are. So self-care is number one, really.
Oh, I don't know what answer I was expecting, but it was not
wasn't
that.
this.
Yeah. So you spoke about the ancient texts and how they talk about Shakti and how that is related to pleasure. Is there, like, what is it in our ancient texts, in the Kama Sutra, that talks about self-care? Is there something that is, or do they specifically talk about this aspect of, pleasure?
So the Kama Sutra is an interesting text, okay? Most people don't really know what it's about. Let me quickly just tell you what the Kama Sutra is.
Yeah.
The Kama Sutra was written in about the 4th century.
Okay.
We don't have an exact date, but we think 300 and something AD. It was written for men. It was written for men of high status and money.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a time when women are not taught how to read or write. So it's not written for women. It's to teach men how to live their best life.
Okay.
So section 1, it's written in 7 sections. Section 1 is on how to build your house, how to decorate your house, how many bedrooms there should be. Yeah, it says, section 1 tells you how many hours a man should be massaged before his bath, how many hours he should talk to his minor birds. Yeah, it's totally about how you should locate yourself. Section 2 is on pleasure, which we'll come to. Section 3 is on how to look for the perfect wife. So, of course, some of the strange old things that we still have, but little details like if the name of the girl ends with a R or a L, she won't make an ideal wife. Yeah, don't ask. I mean, these are all things that they obviously thought about 2,000 years ago. Section 4 is on how to marry this woman.
Okay.
Which is also really interesting because it's not a case of, okay, now this woman has been found, now you just get in touch with the family. It was about wooing her. So who do you employ to carry messages to her? How do you convince her that you are the person that she should be with, and so on. So that's section 4. Section 5 is on how to seduce another man's wife. Because, yeah, well, this was more a political thing that if her husband was important, then you would need his position and power. You would go via the wife.
Oh my God.
Yes, so there's quite a lot going on that. Section 6 is on courtesans. The Kama Sutra is written at the same time as the Arthashastra.
Okay.
And Chanakya had made sex work legal. So there was a ministry for this. There were laws, there were rules. So the courtesans apparently told Vatsyayan, can you please include a chapter on all the laws and rules that govern courtesans?
Okay.
So that is section 6. And section 7, which is one of the silliest sections, it's on Jadu Tona.
Oh,
you know, all the different aphrodisiacs that you can have. I mean, it's really silly. Make of it what you will. So that is the Kama Sutra. The Kama Sutra is a treatise. It's written as a scientific text, so it doesn't talk about emotions. It talks about things that you do. It talks about, like, it's almost like an accountancy. No, it's almost like an accountancy ledger. You know, it tells you there are 6 ways to kiss your partner on the left cheek, let's say. You know, it's that specific. So it provides you like a framework. And he says, Vatsyayan says in his introduction, he says that for a lot of people, they don't really know how to get to that point of pleasure. So the Kama Sutra gives you very prescriptive ideas. And within that prescriptive framework, you can then be truly creative. Because if you say the world is your oyster, it's really hard to pinpoint what you want to do. But if I give you a small framework, you're like, okay, I can work really well. Now I want to get creative. Now I want to get exciting within this. So that's how it actually works. Now, in terms of whether it talks about self-care, the whole thing is based on the idea of pleasure. It is all about self-care. At no point does it say, you have to do this. This is your duty to pleasure somebody. It isn't. It's very much about arousal. It's about how long it takes to get to arousal. There are all the different things that you would use and create to get to pleasure. And interestingly, and I love this bit, Section 2 is the only place where he addresses both men and women together. And in his introduction, he says, now people, society tell me, how stupid, you've written all this for women also to follow. Women are so silly, they don't understand any kind of science. Why are you giving them instructions? And he says, because men need to be taught, women understand this more instinctively. But instructions should be for both. And this is literally, of all the ancient erotic texts from across the world, this is the only one that focuses fully on women's pleasure. That's what makes it stand out. Despite the fact, it is literally because it is addressing men. It is telling them that if you want your pleasure life to be long-lasting and long-lived and healthy and good, it is the woman's pleasure that matters more because it takes longer, it is more complex, and it needs to be focused on. And I love this text just for that.
That is very interesting
So
insight.
it's very much about, there's this chapter on love bites, for instance.
Okay.
And he gives a whole lot of instructions on love bites. It's the only text in the world that romanticizes the love bite, I have to say. Yeah, to the point where every love bite had a different shape, and each one had a different message, and each one had a different occasion. So you could send love bites as a gift.
Oh.
Yeah, you would put love bites on the petals of a flower and send it, and it became a love letter because each one had its own message.
Oh, wow.
So you see what I mean about today? I would maybe, if I wanted to show my love language, I would get a really beautifully packaged something of self-care or skincare or a product like that, and I might send it to a good friend, or my partner might send it to me. But this was a time that they were still talking about the idea of love languages and pleasure and self-care. So, but I was saying, in this chapter, he also goes on to say to the women, now he addresses the women, he says that at no point is violence of any kind allowed. And he says to the women, he says, if your partner gives you a love bite that is too hard, you tell him to stop. If he doesn't stop after you tell him twice, you turn the tables, you pin him down, and you bite him back twice as hard till he stops. Which I think is the ultimate in consent. But you know what I mean? So to me, this is a text that very much talks about your autonomy for your pleasure. And that can only come when you care for yourself and you believe in yourself.
That is so profound and so beautiful, actually. I had no idea that, again, like I told you, we hear these things about the Kama Sutra and we talk about these things and we never fully understand where it's coming from. But
it's the most known unknown. Like everybody knows about the Kama Sutra. Nobody knows what's written in there.
Yeah. Wow. How did your journey into studying this start? Like, what I really want to ask is that you do this and then you also talk about so much on your social media and you handle your work and you handle your family and there's so much going on and you still do it so gracefully and so beautifully. How is it that you manage to handle everything and do everything and be the woman who does everything? And how can Gen Z take a page out of your book?
That's such a sweet thing to say. Thank you. I think when I started this work, for me, the most important thing was that it's such a taboo subject. And I think that when there is silence around something, it creates a problem. There is violence. Violence can be perpetrated. If something bad happens to you and people then say, "Baat mat karna, log tumhare bare kya kahenge," you know, and that gives the perpetrator a chance to do worse. So I wanted this conversation to open up. I wanted parents to be able to have this conversation with their children. And to make this something that is intergenerational, the idea was that you have to present it in language that is really, really non-intimidating.
True.
Okay? Keep it as graceful, keep it as simple as you possibly can. I think that's a word that we don't use enough in our lives. Or we use the word very easily now, let's keep things simple. But do we really keep things simple?
Yeah.
And I think it's really, really important to understand that, one, you said, thank you for saying that I manage everything. If you ask my family, they'll tell you I'm a mad woman. Like, I don't manage everything. But you learn gradually that you don't have to manage everything. You do what you can. When I started social media, which was in 2020 when COVID started, and my daughter actually created it for me because she was locked down as well with me. And university had finished. She didn't have a job at this point. We were at home. And we believed that at that point that, every day you had to put up a post. Every day, because you're trying to build it up. By now, I'm in India right now. It's difficult for me to sit down, find the time to do this. I'm like, twice a week, it's okay. Keep it simple. Everything has to come from that point of knowing that if I put pressure on myself from the inside, I am just going to melt or break down.
So is that your self-care philosophy as well?
My self-care philosophy is a very hard one. I've had to fight very hard to win it. That's what I meant when I said it's very hard won. Aditi, it's come from, I think I've always been a little bit unusual. I was never quite the person that everybody else was. And I was desperate to fit in. Because when you're younger, you want to fit in.
You want to, yeah.
Today, I think what makes me different is what makes me so unique, and I love it. And I'm trying to make that bit of me flourish. But as a child, it was my biggest bane. It was like I hated being so different. And I wanted to be like everybody else. And you put so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
And you realize that you kill off little bits of yourself. You know, when you feel something and you say, no, that's not the right thing to feel, you kill that emotion off. And as you kill off emotions, you become less capable of feeling.
Yeah.
You limit yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not capable of killing off emotions, so I just made myself more unhappy. Till I found that philosophy, which is primarily from Tantra actually, which says that you achieve moksha. People believe that they achieve moksha in 3 different ways. Either through pain, which is where you put your body through difficulty, through grief, where you sacrifice people or things around you, yeah, through renunciation,
Through renunciation.
or through pleasure,
Oh.
where they talk about harnessing sexual energy, etc. But this is literally where you bring every nerve ending alive. And this is, of course, the most difficult, because in the other 2, you're deadening things, you're pushing things down. You're making it numb, you're killing off emotions. This one, where you're raising yourself, you raise all your energy, but you get to this point, that's not enough. Now you focus on raising it higher, then you focus on getting it even higher.
Wow.
You work on yourself. And in working on yourself, you realize that your self-care is not about killing yourself or shutting yourself up. It's about blossoming more and more.
That is so beautiful.
Because with each emotion that you awaken, there is an inner nucleus.
Yeah.
You know, when you understand one little bit to it, then you go a little bit deeper, then you go a little bit deeper. You need to be able to do that. And that's what makes you who you are. I often have people say to me that when I talk about my subject, my voice changes, my face changes.
It does. I can physically, like I have goosebumps right now.
That's sweet. But that literally is from understanding that it's where you simplify your life to the point where you say, I am going to. It's that straightforward. Wow. I am not going to let somebody put me down. I've had years of being put down. I've had years of people talking really badly to me, about me. I've had years of people being horrible to my children, calling me a call girl, calling me a prostitute.
My God.
And even now on social media, you get death threats, you get rape threats, you get all sorts. Your initial reaction is to deal with all that. Then you get to that point where you simplify your life and you say, am I doing it or am I not?
Yeah.
And once you decide you're doing it, then you say, okay, now to hell with the rest of it.
My God. Okay. So you spoke about doing it, like simplifying things, right? That is one of the biggest struggles for people in this generation.
Yeah.
Right? So whether it's their careers, whether it's something as simple as skincare, anything at all, it's all overly complicated, right? If you're talking about your career, it's not just one thing. You can't be doing just one thing. You have to be doing multiple things. If you talk about your skincare, it's not just one simple product. It's an AM routine and a PM routine and like a multi-step skincare and a Korean glass skincare. My God. How can people like us deal with these complications, like life getting overcomplicated? When you say it, it sounds easy that you simplify it, but how do you actually do it?
So I think there are 2 things. One is that it will come with time. First of all, I think the wisdom of knowing what you need to get rid of to make your life easier comes with time. When we're younger, we're all a little bit over the top. I often laugh. My mother-in-law, who's 96, has this glowing skin. And I'll say to
you,
her,
you do too, by the way.
oh, you're very sweet. This is just the camera lights. But, and I'll say to her, what do you do? And she says, oh, no, I just put a little bit of sarson ka tel while having my bath, and that's it.
Wow.
My daughter, on the other hand, is a Gen Z consumer. Okay, she's a consumer. She's what the world of products loves. If somebody says to Tarini that this cream is only for your left upper lid, she will only use it on her left upper lid. You said you can use it on both eyes, beta, she'll be like, no. And she's horrified at the fact that I don't use a toner before. I mean, like, yeah, we have all of this. But I think that you're right. I think that the younger generation today has so much that they have to juggle. I hate it when people say, oh my God, this generation, they're so fragile. I think the generation today, the youngsters today, deal with so much that they're very, very brave. And I think that the amount of stress, mental health stress that they go through is far worse than what we did. When I was studying, I knew that I had to pick up a book, read it, okay, and learn it up. Today, there is 6 different things that you have to get your information from and collate it, plus everything else going on around you. Everything is more complicated. So I think we have to give the younger generation credit for balancing a hell of a lot more. And this is for all parents out there. Please stop telling your kids that, "Arey hamare zamane mein to." We didn't have as much going, okay? That's number one. Number two, I think that what I have also discovered from my children, I have 3 kids, that they have also learned that self-care is really important.
Okay.
Through the hard way, maybe from watching their parents' generation, where they've watched their parents be more autonomous, mothers and fathers both having problems with each other, understanding that life has to be balanced. It's not as straightforward as get married, settle down.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I think that they have understood that it is important. Self-care is very, very important. And I encourage every single young person, because I know also how much flack they get from the older generation for this. And I won't put myself out of it. I have to say, I tell my kids all the time, you should focus on your self-care. But the moment they say, sorry, mom, can't do this for you, I'm not feeling in the mood today. I'm like, how can you talk like this? So yeah, it works in every direction, right? But I really do believe that this belief that self-care is good for you can only come from within. And I want to say this to every young person out there, no matter how many times somebody raises their eyebrow and says, really, you think, and people do, they will say all sorts of things to put you down. Please don't listen. It's difficult when you're that age to not listen to the crap, but please, you need to look after yourself. And as far as skincare is concerned, yeah, I will say that keeping it simple is probably a good idea, because that's one thing we don't need to spend so much extra time on.
What is your skincare like?
So my skincare routine has become extremely simple.
Okay.
As I've grown older. Okay. So when I was younger, I had more of a, a separate over-eye cream, a separate Now, for instance, at night, I use a night oil and that's it. That's me, because I just realized that I have to hydrate myself. But more importantly, when I actually put that on, I realized that I put on my favorite program while doing it.
Yeah.
I believe that you can do, like I said at the beginning, you can do whatever you want to the outside of yourself.
Yeah.
On the inside, if your brain is not thinking along the same lines, it's not going to have any impact. My favorite program, I have to say I don't watch very much television, but my favorite programs are the old-fashioned murder mysteries.
Ooh,
like Murder, She Wrote and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to tell you a little secret.
So you watch that while doing your skincare?
I do. I watch things like that, or Diagnosis Murder or stuff like that. I love those. I call them hope porn. Okay.
All right.
Because they are so unrealistic and they give you such hope in the world outside. You'll find one blonde hair and the bad guy is caught because of that and all the baddies are punished. It is pure hope pornography. But I actually do that while I put on my night oil religiously. No matter what, I will do that.
That's one. I also do that. Although my skincare is a little more complicated, it's still simple. I think as compared to the current generation skincare, I just do like washing, moisturizing, and toning, and that's it.
Okay, washing, moisturizing.
Washing, toning, and moisturizing.
No, I'm just counting all the steps.
So
okay.
three steps. Yeah,
Three
which is
steps,
washing
okay.
is removing your makeup and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I also put on my like favorite shows, and I like to watch comedies at night. So
Which one?
right now I'm watching a rerun of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
It's good.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
that show. So yeah, that's what I do. That's fun. That's fun to know.
Yeah, no, I just think that, similarly, like when I'm putting on makeup,
Yeah.
So my kids say that this is something they'll remember about me forever. Like when I sit down to do a reel, or if I'm going out somewhere, if I'm going to do a show, I'm going
Yeah.
on stage, when I sit down to do my makeup, I generally have the kids come in and sit with me and chat to me.
Yeah.
I just feel that if I feel happier on the inside,
Yeah,
somehow
it'll
the
show.
makeup looks
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. But what do you do in terms of makeup? Like,
Okay, so my makeup again is not very much because as you age, you get age spots and things like that.
okay, yeah.
So if you start, I find like if I put on foundation, then a lot of my age spots show through. I also have a birthmark, which is a sort of trademark of mine over
Okay,
here on my
yeah.
cheek. Then these things kind of look weird underneath the foundation. So I tend to not.
Oh wow.
use
You are
that.
one of the very few people who's now saying this, because now everybody gets Botox and your fillers and stuff like that. So aging is not really a thing in the beauty community, or so I feel
So
from
the
all
thing
the
is
content that I see.
Now the problem is, as a storyteller, I have to have lots of expression on my face.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't do Botox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It would be a
fair.
slight
Fair.
problem.
Fair. Okay, so far when we talk about self-care, right now with the Kama Sutra, you mentioned that it's for men, but typically in today's day and age, when we talk about self-care, it's associated with the feminine. It's associated with women. Like, how can men understand that it's not just for
For
girls or for women? Or
So again, I think it's very. So my husband and I have this. So my husband is about 10 years older than me, and he's half Punjabi, half Sindhi.
okay.
Okay, so very North Indian, the typical mindset. And he's horrified. So I have brought my kids up to understand that men and women all should be using skincare. It's really, really important for them. So my kids all love it. I have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, and the eldest one's married, so there's a daughter-in-law as well. And when we all have family dinner, the kids, the guys, the girls, everybody discusses skincare. And Tarini will say, oh, this is what I'm using these days. And my middle son will be like, I want it too. And they all have it. And my husband used to, for the longest time, sit on the side and like, this is not what men do. Over the years, he's toned it down because it's like, okay, nobody's listening to me. But
That's a nice shift. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
he didn't have a choice, so that's how it is. But again, I think that I'd love to say that I want parents to start not making this a boy-girl thing for their kids. And if you find that your parents are making it, I'm sorry, you're going to have to find the energy and the strength from within you to go for it, because I think skincare is so important. Why should young men grow up not looking their best? And skincare is important. We live in a world now where the air around us is polluted. We're inside air-conditioned rooms, which dries us out. Why should you be not looking your best?
True. Boys, if you're listening.
Yeah, all guys.
Okay. So now there's in the Gen Z space, there's this new term called avalanching. Do you know what it means?
Oh my God, no. Avalanching. Is it too much information, like avalanche coming down at you? Is that what it is?
It is basically you're showering yourself in somebody's love or relationship, like just falling for somebody hard.
Okay.
So much so that your individual identity is no longer.
Okay, so we're not looking at it as a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
Okay, fine. Got it.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask
definitely.
you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a good thing. I think that you should love yourself first, solidly, and then only can you love
Yeah.
anybody else. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay, so that was the question.
Oh, that was. I need to not interrupt so much.
No, but that's fair, that's fair.
But this idea of, like you said, nichavering yourself in
Yeah,
somebody's love,
yeah.
it's just been one of those things that has been, particularly for women,
yeah.
it's been, we've been taught that this is how a woman's identity should be. And I think it's ridiculous, because I believe that if you cannot give that love to yourself first, what kind of quality of teaching are you giving your kids? I'm not talking about the fact that, oh, you can't love your kids. That's not it. I'm just saying that, so when I was growing up, what I remember is my mother making real time for herself. So mom used to work even then. And when mommy came home from work and I was home from boarding school, I went to boarding school when I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'd be at home and I'd be waiting for her to come back from work. And her thing was, no, when I've arrived back from work, I need to change. I need to have some alone me time. And then I will chat to you. And even when, like, when she went out to get stuff, yes, she always got me lovely things, but she made sure that she always got for herself what she wanted or liked. And my memory of her is that I put her needs definitely at a level of respect, because she made me believe that she is deserving of that.
This is so important for women to hear, because even till date, this is not how most families, most women operate. Like in my house also, I have not seen this happen, because it's always putting the men first and not your needs first. The men and then the kids and then you come last, and that's what the women
Can I tell
generally-
you something really interesting?
Yeah.
So my new research that I'm doing is something called the Kama Utsavs, the love festivals of ancient India. So they're mentioned in the Kama Sutra, but then they've disappeared and we don't really have very much information on them. But basically these love festivals, and there were several, about 25, 30 of them, were not for couples.
Okay.
It was to bring the earth to her pleasure, because they believed in ancient times that when you have a famine or a drought or an earthquake, it's not because God is being angry with you, it's because the earth has forgotten her pleasure.
Oh.
So you basically transfer, so these, your pleasure or your desires to the earth. So the festivals were generally performed by women who would do shringar, with all of the shringar that you would do for lovemaking, which was to arouse your own desires. And then you would transfer them to the trees and to the water and so on.
Oh, that's
And
so beautiful.
in all of these, mostly these are done by women. There's one that comes from Kashmir, and we don't actually have the details of it, but this is the only one where I found that the man would go in the morning to the Kamdev temple, he would pray, he would bring back flowers from there, then he would perfume water, and he would bathe his wife with that perfumed water.
Oh.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, that is. That is
It's
so
normally the
beautiful.
man being bathed always,
Yeah,
anointed
yeah,
and bathed
yeah.
and so on. So I think that this idea of the woman not having that space to be herself, I think it kind of happened over the centuries. It was taken
But
away.
and it's great that people like you are actually talking about it. Women are talking about it. That's
Yes.
so important. I'm so happy I got to have this conversation with you. So in terms of simplifying skincare specifically, there's also this entire confusion around what products to use, what ingredients to use. There's a battle between Ayurvedic ingredients and then using all of these newfound brands and ingredients and chemical ingredients. How should we decide between both of them, and how relevant, because we've also spoken about ancient texts, right? How relevant is Ayurveda and Ayurvedic ingredients in today's self-care and skincare rituals?
Okay, good question. I think growing up, definitely we have had lots of, I'm talking about me growing up, okay, over the years, lots of skincare which has used solid chemicals in it,
Yeah.
like lots of stuff. Let's face it, there was a time when people were using asbestos and thinking it was such a good thing, right? Gradually, you realize it is not good for you. And people are now wanting to go back towards more natural stuff. I think the problem is, however, that knowing that something is natural and knowing that it's good is not the same. It's really, really hard because today with this trend towards natural, and that's the problem with trends, now it's everything has got to be natural. It's really, really hard to know what is good and what isn't. You could end up, you were saying to me, semen facials. Semen is natural. You could end up sort of pretty much using, there was a whole trend last year about women saying that they're going to use period blood on their face as a facial.
That's still going on.
Yeah. So, there is all sorts of things that people tend to do. I've also known people to say कि जो भी खा रहे हो, उसको मुंह पे मल लो at the same time. And I have a really good friend who's a dermatologist who says that if it's dripping off your face, don't use it. It's not going to do anything for you. So if you're eating a papita, don't start, rubbing a little bit over there. It's got to be carefully created for it to be good for you. I think for that, I have to say, thank God, there are some really good brands that are coming up that have done their research. Because when you buy something in a jar, it cannot be a freshly mashed papita.
Yeah, true.
It's got to have certain other ingredients and preservatives that will go into it.
Yeah.
It's not as straightforward as saying it's natural.
Yeah.
It's got to be created properly. There's a lot of natural things that people are allergic to.
Yeah, true.
You can't just have that and put people at risk. There's so much that goes into creating
that
good product, which is natural, but based on, let's say, the Ayurvedic principles. And I've been using something by Yahvi, for instance, and I make the effort to read what all it says. I find it trustworthy, whatever the stuff is. I like what they've got. They've got their all their approvals, etc. I think it's so important.
True, absolutely. So you spoke about how you've had to deal with trolls and bullies on the internet as well. And since nowadays, entire generations are online and cyberbullying is a huge, huge thing, how is it that amidst all of this, you still manage to root for yourself?
So it doesn't come naturally. It is something that you have to create. You have to consciously build up that reserve inside you. And you have to build that ability to say, I mean something, I care about myself, I will stand up for myself. It doesn't come naturally. Like I said, when I first started, my daughter started my
Social media.
Sorry, let me just say. So my daughter started my social media platform off for me. Like I said, she just finished university. We were all locked down. And she started this off. And she was amazing in how she literally held my hand through this whole thing. And initially, she would, I would get this message and it would be horrible. And I'd be in tears and I would go and wake her up. And she'd be fast asleep because she would stay up all night chatting to her friends. We were in lockdown, so she'd be chatting to her friends. She'd been trying to sleep in the daytime. I'd go and wake her up and say, no, Dharani, you have to stand up now. You have to get up and hug me. And so this would go on. Yeah. So the poor thing, I have to tell you just at this point that she has moved to Amsterdam now.
Okay.
And the standing joke is that if I get really upset and I have to ring her up over there and say, get up now and hold my... But... I want everybody to understand, I think that especially as young people, with the pressure upon us, and when things like this go belly up, when the really bad trolling happens and you go to your parents, in my case, it's the other way around. You go to your parents and you say, this happened. Parents generally will say, to mat karo na, tumhe kitni bari bola hai, just shut this down. That's not the answer that they're looking for. That's when you really need the other person to say, let me hug you, let me just hold your hand. Everything needs a role model. If you want to root for yourself, you have to see how to root for yourself. Somebody has to show you
The way.
how to do it. And because I'm older, because I could ask for that in so many words, my daughter was there, my kids were there to help me to understand how to stand up for myself. And so now I'm able to.
Yeah.
But you can't just land in the middle of somewhere and just have all the answers. You need to be shown the way. You need somebody to literally hold your hand and show you.
Yeah. So it helps when people on the internet are showing us
You
the
know,
way.
my entire time now is I focus on the positive things that come in. And I will reread those comments rather than looking at the negative ones.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that when I read them, I may not respond to I don't respond to every one of them, but it puts a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And I actually talk to myself a lot, okay? I mean, first sign of madness, definitely there. But I talk to myself and then I say out loud, thank you, that's so sweet of you.
Yeah.
So I would say all of that, but we need that love to come through. So even now when I meet people on the road and they say, thank you for your help and we love your content, I always make a point of saying thank you for your love because it makes so much difference.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, yeah. Okay, so we've spoken a lot about Gen Z. Is there any particular Gen Z term that you're aware of, that you like, or that you don't like? Like, is there any Gen Z term that you're particularly interested in?
So I actually think that I like a lot of the Gen Z terms, not because they talk about nice things, but the fact that they talk about it. You know, for the longest time, all these things, we go through the same things, but we didn't have a word for it. So let's say the word ghosting.
Yeah.
Now, everybody has done it to everybody else since time began.
Yeah.
All right? It's not new.
Yeah.
But the fact that it can be said, like I said, silence is our worst enemy, okay? It perpetuates problems. But to be able to say, I got ghosted, suddenly you're not feeling like, oh, I'm the... I talk often about how if I was going to teach sex ed, I would start by teaching emotions to people. And the first thing I would teach is the emotion of rejection. You like somebody, you are bound to be rejected.
That's true.
Okay? The first 10 times, that person won't like you back. What happens is people get really full of ego about it. Oh, they let me down. I mean, acid attacks, violence, all that happens because you can't take the rejection.
True.
And I always say that if everybody understood that everybody gets rejected, suddenly it becomes more normalized. Okay, I got rejected, I've got the heartbreak, but at least I'm not thinking, sirf mere saath hua, ab tumhe maar ke rahunga. You know, like...
Yeah.
And I think that words like this normalize.
The labeling of it.
Yeah, normalize what is happening. Not that it's a good thing that you're being ghosted, but the fact that, okay, I'm not the only one who's going through it. And I think possibly the best thing that has happened to vocabulary are the flags.
Ah, yes.
It just makes it easier. There were things that you could not say earlier, you couldn't pinpoint. Now suddenly it's like green flag, red flag, pink, yellow, green. I mean, there's a whole bunch of, there's a whole bunch of flag colors now. And whether it is true or not, the point is it starts a conversation, and that's all we really need is to be talking about it.
Wonderful answer.
Thank you.
But now moving on to more fun things.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to do this.
The Kama Sutra wasn't fun enough?
It was.
No,
It was a different kind of fun. Now moving on to lighter things for the viewers and the listeners.
Okay.
Yes. We'll do this game called Put a Finger Down. I'm not sure if you've seen this on Instagram where I say a question and you just put a finger down if you've done it.
All right.
And if you've not done it, then no finger down. Okay. So, okay. Put a finger down if you have resisted getting intimate with your partner at night because you don't want to ruin your night care routine. Okay. Put a finger down if you have ever used skincare cream or gel as a lubricant. Oh.
I grew up in a time when we didn't have that much,
all right, okay.
you know, this thing. I mean, I should tell you that I have also used perfume down there as a teenager and almost died of the pain.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was horrible. I was perfuming myself. I was going out and I was like, I smelled so amazing. Why not down there?
Oh my God.
Like, yeah,
I only read horror stories of things
Yeah.
like this. My God.
Trust me, I have a horror story. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Put a finger down if you've tried a bizarre skincare trend related to sex, like semen facial.
No, I haven't. Okay.
Okay.
Saved.
Put a finger down if you always shower after sex.
Not always. I mean, sometimes, not always.
Yeah.
The Kama Sutra does say that
You should?
You should.
Oh, that's interesting.
It says after you finish making love, both people should go off separately, have their showers, and then come back together again. Because you need that little bit of space to regroup your energies. And then you come back, and that's when you eat your food.
All right.
Yeah, not before.
All right. Okay. Put a finger down if you're guilty of saying yes to something you weren't comfortable doing. Yeah.
I put 2-3 fingers down for that. Okay.
Put a finger down if you've ghosted somebody for your peace of mind. Yes. Put a finger down if you've
But after a lot of taking shit, I want to just add that.
Okay.
It's not been as... Today's generation will do it so much more easily. I wish I'd had the courage to do that.
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of shit people that walk through your life.
Yeah.
Some of them need to be ghosted.
Yeah, they do. They do. Put a finger down if you've led somebody on without the intention of dating them.
We're only human. I'm not God. I'm not. You know those stories of this Devi Saman or I'm not Devi Saman or I'm just me. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you on literally one finger less than me now?
Yeah.
How come? Okay, you did something that I. Okay. Yeah. You didn't do something that I did. All right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't used the perfume thing. And I have also not led somebody on so far. Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Put a finger down if you've used expired
I am
skincare.
62. I've had longer to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. See, give yourself time.
Put a finger down if you've used expired skincare products because they were expensive. Yes.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Put a finger down if you've ever broken girl code.
I have to think very hard. In my recent memory, I definitely cannot remember doing that because I think girl code is the most important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I can recall anything like this.
I'm sure somewhere something must have happened but I truly cannot recall something because I'm so particular about that. My girl brigade is very important.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Put a finger down if you have ever been shamed by your family. Yeah.
Oh, you must remember, I also have in-laws on the scene. I could put lots of fingers down.
Okay, yeah. Oh, so we're done with the put a finger down. Yeah, fine. Now we come to the rapid fire.
I am not good with rapid fire.
So we will manifest.
Okay.
Rapid answers.
Yeah.
Yes.
It probably won't happen, but...
Okay. What comes to mind when I say the following words? You can answer in as many words as you like, but if we keep it short, then it'll be rapid. Okay. What comes to mind when I say self-pleasure?
Feeling good.
Self-care?
Feeling very good.
Ayurveda.
Okay, let's do self-care again. Self-care, feeling good from the inside.
Okay. I like both the answers. Ayurveda.
A really deep subject with so much knowledge that we could really benefit from but don't know enough about.
Okay. The best method for self-care.
I think that self-care is far too diverse for there to just be the one method. So I think whatever is working for you at that point, like maybe even within 3 hours, there might be 10 different things that you might do for self-care, but it has to be what is working for you. So don't put boundaries on yourself.
Ooh, nice.
Give yourself the chance.
Okay. Pick me culture.
That's my reaction to all these people who are so like, pick me, I'm like this, I'm so different, I'm so gorgeous. Yeah.
Social media.
Oh, it's hard work. It's very hard. It's so necessary. For anybody doing anything in life now, social media is absolutely essential, but my God, it takes it out of you.
That is true. Situationships.
You know, I'm glad the word exists. Situationships have always existed.
Yeah.
And now, because of the word, I think people are able to kind of say, oh, is this what I'm going through? And they have a little bit more awareness of the situation.
So good to have the
No
word.
pun intended.
Yeah. Pornography.
Pornography is the ultimate bane, I think.
Oh, wow.
I just think that I realize that pornography serves a function. It is useful for a lot of people. I personally I've never been a fan.
Cool. An alpha man.
Please don't make me say things on screen what I think of that.
Okay. Now complete the following sentences.
Uh-oh.
Before going to bed, I make sure I...
Watch a murder mystery.
When someone says, I woke up like this, what they really mean is...
What they really mean is I woke up 6 hours ago and made myself look like this. Because honestly, you don't want to see what most of us are like when we wake up.
Well, yeah. Parents can criticize, but what they shouldn't do is...
Shame.
My deal breakers when it comes to friendship are...
I think my biggest deal breaker is somebody who decides to let me down. I think somebody who just feels that it's okay to put me last or let me down because I'll understand. And I don't want to be that person who just has to understand. I want the other person to care enough about me to say, I don't want to do this because I don't want to let her down.
Very nice answer. In today's day and age of low effort friendships. Okay. Name 3 things that you do for your skin so that it's still glowing after all these years. And you, like you said, you don't put a lot of makeup also. So what is the secret?
So one of the things I was introduced to was this aloe vera gel. So I used to have this lady who used to work for me, and she would go to the market and buy a leaf of aloe vera.
Okay.
And then take the gel out of it and then put it in the fridge and then want me to do things.
Okay.
And when she quit, I could not be doing that. I just couldn't be bothered. And I was like, acha, now, so it's never going to happen again. So I was very lucky to find this aloe vera gel because it is absolutely amazing. And that is something that I do swear by. Okay. The second thing is walking outdoors.
Completely agree with you. Completely.
Yeah? It does amazing things for your skin.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And finally, just being able to totally relax every day, even if it is for half an hour, which means that you shut your mind off to everything.
How do you do that?
So I've actually developed a way of just staring at the ceiling and fantasizing about stuff or just daydreaming. But I do that for a while, and I just feel that it sort of clears away that, you know, when you're like this.
Yeah. All great points. I would add sleep to this as well.
Oh, sleep goes without saying, but that, yeah.
Yeah, good.
You asked me for 3. So.
Yeah. What is something in your self-care routine that isn't a skincare step?
Oh, I just gave you all of those. Okay, so my self-care routine, which is not skincare, is very much, like I said, one is about walking outdoors, and I think that is so good for you. So I live in London, and what I tend to do, even if I'm going for a meeting, because now with my saris, I wear trainers because fortunately trainers are now fashionable, so I can do that. So I will get off about 3 stops before where I have to go and then walk the rest of the way because London is very walkable.
Walkable, yeah.
So I definitely try and put that in because when you walk in the fresh air, it blows away the cobwebs and it's incredible for you.
Yeah.
And I think laughing is really, really good for you.
True.
If you can make yourself laugh. So I watch regular stand-up.
Yeah.
I do that for myself.
Beautiful. One piece of advice that you would like to give your daughter and other people her age?
So I think what I'd like to leave all young people with is to say, it's not easy to understand that it's what makes you different is what is special about you, because we spend so much time trying to be like everybody, to fit into a mold.
Yeah.
But honestly, you'll find as you get older that that is what makes you special. And if there's nobody out there, or you think there's nobody out there who is going to validate that differentness, find that tribe.
Yeah.
Focus on finding your tribe. Because I can tell you from personal experience that after all the shit that I went through, I have a handful of friends, like literally less than that many,
Yeah.
who have stood by me and supported me no matter what. No matter what. And the amount of strength I get just from knowing that there is somebody who loves me,
Yeah.
I think just, find your tribe. It's not always easy because you want to be part of the cool kids and you want to be part of this and you want to be part of that, but find your tribe.
Yeah. Fair. Okay. What is the most bizarre question that someone's asked you?
So I get a whole series of bizarre questions, as you know.
Yeah.
But I think the weirdest are always what all people think they want to put into their partner's vagina. Like somebody said, can I put ice in her? But somebody, which I thought was really weird, wanted to know कि pH balance के लिए नींबू डाला जा सकता है? I was like, आप भेलपूरी नहीं बना रहे. People have the darndest ideas of what they think they can do with their partner's vagina. And I just want to put it out there and say that no matter what you put on other parts of anybody's body, please don't put anything inside the vagina ever. Okay, Aditi, now my turn. I think I've talked a lot. I have some questions for you. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
So this is my daughter's favorite game. It's a would you rather. Drives me mad. So I'm hoping it'll drive you mad. Okay.
All right.
Would you rather make self-care a schooling subject or something that's taught by parents?
I think something that's taught by parents, because children learn the most when they see something happening. So if parents automatically incorporate self-care as a part, like your mom did, like you said, right? So it teaches the children to follow in those footsteps, even subconsciously. So I think that would be...
Yeah, makes
that would
sense.
be a good thing.
I think that's a great thing. I think parents should definitely teach it. But personally, I think also schools should start teaching it.
Yeah, both would be ideal.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one, then...
If you had to choose one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting this is a would you rather. Okay. Okay, now this is going to be difficult. Would you rather always have amazing skin or always have a high sex drive?
This is not a fair question. Both. Can't.
Would you rather?
There can't be a would you rather. Imagine.
I totally agree. Yeah. Would you rather have amazing skin and a high sex drive, or would you rather not have either? See, now I've given you the choice to say both.
Both,
Yeah,
obviously.
Okay. Would you rather get a foot massage from your partner or a head massage?
Head massage.
Really?
Yeah, I'm very ticklish. So, so my feet can't be massaged.
Okay. I would take a foot massage each time. Yeah. Okay. Would you rather have a self-care session with your girlfriends or with your partner?
With my partner. We are both very big on self-care. So
wow,
like
that's
we go for
amazing.
pedicures, etc. all together, and then
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that. Would you rather have someone else rooting for you, or would you rather be the one rooting for yourself?
Now this has to be both, because like if you're the only one who's rooting for yourself, that would be such a lonely sphere to exist in. And if you are not rooting for yourself, but everybody else is rooting for you, that's just sad. Yeah, like you're never mentally there.
Yeah, then it's never going to happen. Yeah.
I think it has to be both.
Good answer. I agree.
Well, that was super exciting, super fun, and super insightful. Thank you so much, Seema, for joining us, for taking out the time and shedding so much light on the subject of self-care, self-love. It is so important to root for yourself, to love yourself, to take care of yourself. And we hope that that is the message that you took away from this. This is Aditi signing off from No Filter Conversations with Yahvi.